It wasn't a love that bloomed instantly. It was the kind that grew slowly, like dawn breaking over a long night. You met Taehyung during a lonely winter when you had just moved into a new city, desperate to build a life from the wreckage of something you never spoke about. He was a strong stranger then, a doctor with a soft voice, sharp suits, and eyes that looked like he had lived through his own wars. He wasn't loud, he didn't try too hard. He simply existed in the quiet spaces of your life. At first, offering a coffee when he noticed you reading alone at the cafe across his swim, then walking you home when the streets were too silent for comfort. What started as occasional conversations about books and movies slowly turned into deep late night calls, laughter over takeout dinners, and a kind of comfort you hadn't believed you would ever feel again. Taeyong never asked you about the past, and maybe that was what made your heart soften towards him. He didn't try to fix you, didn't pray, didn't treat you like someone broken. Instead, he gave you space, room to breathe, to feel, to be. And in that space, you found yourself falling for the way he always looked at you like you were more than just the sadness you carried. He fell for you too in his own quiet way, watching your smile return one hesitant curve at a time. There was a day when he held your hand in the middle of the bustling street and said, "You don't have to tell me what happened, but I'll be here for you every single time you want to forget it." That was the moment something in you cracked open. Not the pain, but the hope that you could still be loved despite the shadows you tried to hide. Your wedding was small, almost private, just a handful of people who truly mattered, beneath warm string lights in a garden that smelled like new beginnings. You wore a cream satin dress that fluttered in the breeze, and Taeyong looked at you like he would been waiting his whole life for that one moment. When he vowed to protect you, he didn't mean just physically. He meant the way he stayed up with you during those sleepless nights when you would shake in your sleep, breathless from dreams you never talked about. He meant the way he filled your home with warmth, painting the walls with soft colors, buying you the plants you kept killing, making you laugh on days you didn't even want to move. Slowly, your laughter became more frequent. Your silence became softer, and the nightmare they came less often, though they never truly went away. Even now, sometimes when you stand at the kitchen sink and catch your own reflection in the window, you see a flicker of the woman you used to be. But then you hear Taeyong humming in the next room, or feel his arms slip around your waist from behind, and you remember he's your safe place, your after storm. He never needed to know all the pieces of your pain to love you completely. But little did he or you know that the shadows of your past were never fully gone. Some things don't stay buried, some ghosts don't rest, and though you had forgotten the feel of that cold, obsessive voice whispering your name, it hadn't forgotten you. Taeyong had this quiet intuition about him. He always sensed when something inside you shifted, even when you hadn't said a word. There were days when you would be staring at the wall too long, caught in the fog of some unspoken memory, and he would just place a warm mug beside you and sit silently, his pinky grazing yours on the couch. He never forced conversation, but somehow his presence always pulled you back. When the world outside felt too loud, too sharp, he made your home feel like a warm cocoon where nothing could touch you. It wasn't just love, it was healing in the form of everyday tenderness. From late night grocery runs where you argue over snacks to the quiet mornings where you would watch him sketch buildings in his notebook while sipping coffee. You found pieces of joy in the small unspoken things. He didn't try to rescue you. He stood beside you until you realized you didn't need saving. You just needed someone who wouldn't leave. Your past never came up, not directly, but sometimes during the nights when thunder rolled outside, you would bury yourself in his chest a little tighter, and sometimes he would press his lips to your forehead and and whisper, whatever it was, it doesn't define you, I do. He built you a world where your silence was never questioned, and in return, you gave him your trust, the most fragile, guarded part of you. He never asked why you flinched at sudden knocks on the door, or why you kept triple checking locks before bed, or why you wore a practiced smile when his friends asked about your family. Some truths remained locked inside your chest, not because you didn't trust him, but because you still didn't know how to speak the language of those scars. So instead, you let him love you in the present. And Taehyung, with all his patience and golden hearted warmth, never tried to peel your layers. He just held them close and called them beautiful. Even now, long after you found stability in Taehyung's arms, the past didn't disappear, it only changed its shape. It's no longer screamed in your face, it whispered from shadows. Some nights when Taehyung was fast asleep beside you, breathing soft and even, you would stare at the ceiling in total darkness, your heart pounding for reasons you could explain. The same dream kept coming back, foggy figures chasing you, voices you couldn't recognize, and your legs refusing to run. You would wake up drenched in sweat, pressing your palms hard against your chest, reminding yourself that you were safe, that you weren't back there. Wherever there was, but the truth, that place still lived in your bones. And it showed itself in the smallest things, when a door creaked too loud, when a man on the street looked at you too long, or when your phone rang at exactly 2:14 a.m. again. You never told Taehyung the details, not because you didn't want to, but because you were terrified of seeing pity in his eyes. So instead, you buried the worst of it behind careful smiles and claimed you were just tired. But Taehyung knew, he always knew, he would quietly hold you when he felt your shoulders trembling. He would light candles in the bathroom when you flinched at harsh lights. He started walking on the outer side of the pavement, holding your hand a little tighter around strangers. He didn't know what happened, but he knew that something did. And in his own way, he made it clear you didn't have to bleed out your truth to be worthy of peace. You just had a breath, and every day you spent with him, you did, a little easier, a little fuller. Even if the ghost never left, they lost their power. Because this time you weren't alone, and that made all the difference. The study was cloaked in warm shadows, light only by the flickering flame of a small lamp on the corner desk. The walls were lined with shelves of books, Taehyung's favorite, your favorites, and some you two never managed to finish. It was one of those rare silent evenings. The clock ticked softly in the background, the rain outside lightly brushing against the windows like an old forgotten melody. You had come in here looking for an old notebook, but your feet betrayed you. They took you to the farthest cabinet behind the armchair. You knelt slowly and reached beneath the bottom shelf, brushing off the dust that clung stubbornly to your fingers like forgotten guilt. Your hand reached for the loose floorboard, a quiet click. The board lifted, and there it was, the box. That damned box. It was made of dark mahogany, still smooth despite the years, with a small silver lock that no longer worked. You held it in your lap and stared at it, your breath caught between fear and nostalgia. You shouldn't have opened it. You promised yourself and Taehyung that you had burned everything, but a part of you, so small, so guilty, had never let go, and now it begged to remember. The lid creaked open, photographs, worn out Polaroids, yellowing letters tied with an old ribbon. Small trinkets, memories you shouldn't let die with him. Your fingers brushed over a photo of you laughing, hair wild, eyes full of something you hadn't felt in a long time. Your ex had taken that photo. You could still hear him chuckling behind the camera, whispering how you looked like sunlight dipped in sugar. You chuckled bitterly. Psycho or not, he had always known how to say the right words to make you feel like the only person on earth. Then you saw it, the later. The one you told yourself you burned. Your breath caught. You hesitated, fingers trembling slightly, the weight of years pressing down on your chest. You unfolded the letter slowly. The scent of old ink and faint cologne hit you like a ghostly embrace. Even if I die, I'll never leave you. You are mine, Ryan. You know that, right? His voice rang in your ears like a forgotten lullaby turned nightmare. It wasn't just your imagination, it was real. You knew the voice too well. It lived in the walls of your mind, in the crevices of your memory. For a split second, you smiled, a faint, sad smile, like you were mourning a love that never had the right to live in the first place. But then the air in the room shifted, the light from the lamp flickered, your eyes darted up, nothing, just shadows, but the letter was still in your hand, trembling. You whispered to no one in particular, "Why did I keep this? Why?" And maybe you were asking yourself, or maybe you were asking him, wherever he was. Maybe some part of you still waited for an answer from the man who said he would never leave, and perhaps never did. You placed the letter down but didn't close the box. You stared at it instead, frozen in a fog of conflicting memories. A cold shiver ran down your spine, not just from the chill in the air, but from something deeper, a knowing, an ache, and somewhere behind your heart the trauma scratched to wake again. Taehyung's footsteps echoed faintly from the hallway, distant but steady. You quickly shoved the box back into its place and slammed the board shut, your hands moving as if they were hiding evidence from a crime. You stood, composing yourself, breathing in deeply. He couldn't see this. He shouldn't.